My friends, I'm going to tell you about the most dangerous mistake people make with their inner conversation, a mistake that keeps them trapped in their current reality while they think they're doing everything right. You see, most people believe inner conversation is something they do occasionally, like meditation or affirmations. They set aside special times to practice positive thinking. But I discovered something that shocked me. Inner conversation isn't something you do, it's something you are doing every moment, whether you realize it or not. Right now, as you listen to my voice, there's another voice speaking inside your head. It never stops. It talks when you wake up throughout your day, in your dreams. And here's what will astound you. This inner conversation, not the conscious one you control, but the unconscious one that runs automatically, is creating your entire world. Your whole vast world is nothing more than your inner conversation, pushed out and made visible. Let me prove to you that this inner conversation is always running. When you walk down the street, are you silent inside your head? Never. You're commenting on what you see, judging, analyzing, remembering. When you sit alone, is your mind quiet? Impossible. You're reviewing the day, planning tomorrow, having imaginary arguments. Even in your dreams, you're talking. You can't stop it if you tried. This constant inner speech is so automatic, so habitual, that you don't even notice it's there. It's like the background hum of electricity in your house, always present but invisible until you pay attention. But here's what I discovered that changed everything. To find out what you've been saying in this inner conversation, all you have to do is look at your world. Your world reflects this inner speech perfectly. If your inner conversation is dominated by lack, your world shows lack. If it's filled with criticism, your world reflects criticism back to you. If it runs on worry and fear, your circumstances will give you plenty to worry about and fear. But here's the shocking part that most people never realize. You're not in control of this inner conversation at all. It's running on autopilot, repeating the same patterns, the same complaints, the same limitations, day after day after day. And every word of it is creating your reality. I must confess something to you. Even as a teacher of these principles, I have to arrest my inner talking every moment of time. Every single day I become aware of negative inner conversation and must stop it immediately. If someone sends me a letter with complaints instead of gratitude, my immediate inner reaction might be, so what? I have to catch that reaction and change it right away. If I, who teach this professionally, must constantly monitor my inner conversation, imagine what those who aren't paying attention must be doing all day long. But here's the liberating truth. Once you become aware of your inner conversation, you can change it. Not by adding new practices or special techniques, but by catching what you're already saying and redirecting it immediately. But let me warn you about the most dangerous habit people have with their inner conversation, something that will shock you when you realize how often you do it. I once knew a man who discovered something disturbing about his morning routine. Every day while shaving, he would spend 15 minutes having imaginary arguments with people he didn't even like, including public figures he'd never met. He told me, Neville, the shows on Broadway cost $10 a seat, but there is no show on Broadway that could give me the thrill of those 15 minutes in the morning when I shave. He knew he was doing something destructive, but he couldn't stop himself. And here's the most revealing part. When he'd catch himself having these negative conversations, he'd think, I shouldn't be doing this. But then say to himself, well, let me finish this sentence anyway. This is what most people do. They know they're thinking the wrong thoughts, having the wrong conversations in their minds, but they insist on completing the negative sentence before switching to something positive. It's like knowing your house is on fire, but deciding to finish reading the newspaper before calling the fire department. Don't waste your precious time finishing negative inner conversations. The minute you become aware that your inner talking isn't what it ought to be, stop it immediately. Put on a new record and play the new record. Let me tell you about a man who proved this principle beyond any doubt. My father was born poor as you could be, but that man built a financial empire through one simple practice. Every morning before going to work, he would have conversations in his mind with employees he didn't even have yet, discussing business he didn't yet possess. He would hear himself giving instructions, making decisions, solving problems, all in businesses that existed only in his imagination. Day after day, year after year, he had these inner conversations, and slowly, gradually, his external world began to match what he was saying inside. People appeared to help him. Opportunities opened up. Customers found him. Everything he'd been saying in his mind began to materialize in his world. When he died in 1959 at age 85, that poor man could leave his family of 10 children independently wealthy, each one, not just collectively. He gave each of us a block of stock in the company that provided an independent income. It has tripled since then. His method was simple. Controlled inner conversation from premises of fulfilled desire. But here's an even more powerful example of how this works. Now let me share with you a simple story from my teachings that demonstrates this perfectly. A man once wrote to me about his experience with controlled inner conversation. He said, I called on a customer down in the beach area, and during the conversation something came up about imagination. I became all excited and told him what I knew of imagination. But he said to me, you seem so enthused, so completely carried away, would you address my club? It's called the Unity Men's Club. My friend accepted immediately, and the organizer said, we get 18, 20 people at a time, but what I will do is have a ladies' night so they can bring their friends. The room holds a maximum of 65 people. Here's what my friend did. He went home and controlled his inner conversation about this speaking engagement. He said, 3 times I controlled my imagination where I heard people congratulate me for what I had said. I heard them all say how they liked it, how they would apply it, all these things in my imagination, an inner conversation with self. On the day he gave this talk, there were 64 people present, one less than capacity. At the end of the meeting, he was congratulated left and right. One lady said she represented the Norwegian club and invited him to speak. Someone from the Kiwanis club invited him. Multiple other clubs extended invitations. Within 1 month, he received invitations from 4 different clubs to speak exactly as he had heard in his controlled inner conversations. The power wasn't in visualization or affirmations. The power was in hearing the conversations as if they had already happened, making them feel completely real in his imagination. And this reveals the secret of the 3-day self-talk ritual. The 3-day self-talk ritual is about taking complete control of your inner conversation for 72 consecutive hours. For 3 days, you're going to watch your inner speech like a hawk. Every time you catch yourself talking to yourself from your current circumstances, lack, limitation, worry, complaint, you're going to stop it immediately and replace it with conversation from your desired reality. As Scripture tells us, we must put off the old nature which belongs to the former conversations and put on the new nature. Your inner speech is your nature. Change the conversation and you change your nature. But here's what makes this so challenging. You talk to yourself constantly. You can't stop it. You take it into your dreams. You're talking at all moments of time. The question isn't whether you're having inner conversations. The question is what kind of conversations you're having. Most people spend their day carrying on arguments with people from premises of unfulfilled desire. They justify their limitations. They rehearse their complaints. They defend their current circumstances. But for 3 days, you're going to do something different. For 3 days, every inner conversation must be from premises of fulfilled desire. If you desire wealth, your inner conversations must be those of a wealthy person, not someone trying to become wealthy, but someone who already is wealthy. If you desire love, your inner conversations must be those of someone who is deeply loved, not someone seeking love, but someone who already experiences it. Here's the key. When you catch yourself in negative inner conversation, don't try to finish the negative thought first. The average mind wants to complete the negative conversation before switching to positive. Don't waste your precious time. The minute you become aware that your inner conversation isn't what it ought to be, stop it immediately. Put on a new record and play the new record. Don't condemn yourself. Don't justify what you were thinking. Simply redirect the conversation from your fulfilled desire. And if you want the complete system for mastering your inner conversation beyond these 3 days, comment reset below. I'll send you the manifest reset, 5 simple shifts that stop you from forcing the feeling and help you align naturally with the state of your wish fulfillment. This isn't about control, it's about alignment. These gentle but powerful resets guide you back to what I call the frequency of fulfillment, whenever you feel stuck or lost. Now, to activate your consciousness for this 3-day transformation, I want you to make one more declaration. In the comments below, write these exact words: my inner conversation creates my reality. This simple statement will begin programming your subconscious mind to pay attention to your inner speech. When you publicly declare that your inner conversation creates your reality, you're awakening to the power you've always had but never consciously directed. This declaration alone will make you more aware of your inner talking over the next 3 days. You'll catch yourself in old conversations more quickly and redirect to new ones more naturally. But let me warn you about what will happen during your 3 days and why most people give up before they see results. During your 3 days, you'll discover something that may shock you. You've been carrying on negative inner conversations constantly without realizing it. You'll catch yourself justifying limitations. You'll notice yourself having imaginary arguments with people. You'll become aware of the constant stream of worry, criticism, and complaint that runs in your mind. Don't be discouraged by this discovery. Remember, even I have to arrest my inner talking every moment of time. The phone rings, something happens, and my reaction may not be the right one. But I catch it and redirect it immediately. This is the work. This is the practice. Watching your inner conversation and redirecting it the moment you become aware it's not aligned with your desire. During your 3 days of controlled inner conversation, you'll experience 3 distinct phases. Understanding these phases will keep you from giving up when the process feels difficult. Phase 1, the shock of awareness. In the first day or 2, you'll be amazed at how much negative inner conversation you've been having unconsciously. You'll catch yourself justifying limitations, rehearsing complaints, having imaginary arguments with people. Don't be discouraged by this discovery. This awareness is actually progress. You can't change what you're not aware of. The very fact that you're catching these conversations means you're waking up from the unconscious state that created your current reality. Phase 2, the resistance. Around day 2 or 3, your old patterns will fight back. Your mind will insist that your current circumstances are real and your new inner conversations are just fantasy. This is when most people give up. They think, this isn't working. I'm just pretending. I need to be realistic. But this resistance is actually proof that you're changing. Your old self, your old nature, is trying to maintain itself. Push through this phase. Continue your new conversations, even when they feel forced or unnatural. Phase 3, the natural state. By day 3 or 4, something magical happens. Your new inner conversations start to feel natural. Speaking to yourself as someone who already has what you desire becomes as easy as breathing. This is when the external changes begin to appear. Not because you forced them, but because your new inner conversation has become your new nature, and your world must conform to reflect your nature. Remember, we are creatures of habit. The old conversations became automatic through repetition. The new conversations will also become automatic through repetition. But you only need 3 days to break the spell of your old inner conversation and install a new one. Let me tell you about someone who proved this works even with the most impossible circumstances. Let me tell you about my friend Freedom Barry, who proved the power of inner conversation in the most practical way. Freedom is passionately fond of music. In June, he told all his friends what he wanted for Christmas: the interpretation of Tristan and Isolde as given by Flagstad. Christmas came. He had many records, but not that one. His friends told him they had tried all over the area, but they couldn't get it. The stores all said the same thing. RCA Victor is not reissuing this recording, and there have been no copies available since June. After Christmas was over, and there was still no record, Freedom got into a moment of silence and carried on an inner conversation between himself and a record store salesman. He asked for his record and heard the salesman say, "Yes, we have it, sir. When the whole conversation became real to him, it took on the tones of reality, completely natural. Then he physically went to the store and asked for the record. The salesman said, "We do not have it, sir." But mentally, Freedom said to the man, "That's not what I heard you say." He trusted what he had heard with his inner ear over what he heard with his outer ear. As he was about to leave the store, he noticed what appeared to be an empty advertising sleeve for the very record he wanted. He said to the salesman, "You shouldn't advertise merchandise that you do not have." The salesman said, "You're right, sir," and reached up to remove what he thought was just an advertisement. To his amazement, it wasn't an empty sleeve at all. It was the complete album of Tristan and Isolde, as interpreted by Flagstad. That record had been sitting there for over 8 months. In that time, dozens of people had asked for it, but the salesman had always assumed it was just an empty advertising sleeve. All because Freedom would not take no for an answer. He trusted his inner conversation over his outer circumstances. But here's what you must understand about putting this into practice. Before I teach you the advanced techniques, you must understand something profound about the world you live in right now. Every single thing you see around you, the chair you're sitting in, the building you're in, the device you're listening on, all of it started as inner conversation in someone's mind. Someone imagined the chair before it was built. Someone talked to themselves about the design, the materials, the purpose. Someone had inner conversations about how people would sit in it, how it would look, how it would feel. The dress you're wearing was first imagined. The car you drive was first imagined. The city you live in was first imagined by architects and planners who talk to themselves about streets and buildings and parks. But here's what will astound you. The workers who built these things, the manufacturers who made them, the salespeople who sold them, they were all unconscious instruments of the people who first imagined them. When you go into a store and buy something, you think the salesperson is just doing their job. But they are unconscious instruments of the person who first imagined that product in their mind and talked to themselves about people buying it. This is how your world works. The people you think are powerful, the people making decisions, the people creating change, they are all unconscious instruments of someone else's inner conversation. And you can be the one having the conversation that moves them. When you understand this, you realize that your inner conversation isn't just creating your personal reality, it's moving entire networks of people to bring your desires to pass. The question is, are you having the conversations that make you the unconscious instrument of someone else's dreams? Or are you having the conversations that make others the unconscious instruments of yours? If you haven't already, take a moment right now to comment below. My inner conversation creates my reality. This declaration will anchor today's teaching in your consciousness and serve as a powerful reminder each time you see that comment of the truth you've learned today. The secret isn't just in changing your inner conversation. It's in making your new conversation feel completely natural. Your inner conversation must feel as natural as speaking about what you had for breakfast. It cannot be strained or forced, because feeling is the secret. When my father had his business conversations in his mind, each morning they felt completely natural to him. When Freedom talked to himself about getting that record, it felt natural. When my friend imagined speaking to large crowds, it felt natural. Here's how you make your new inner conversation feel natural. First, don't try to generate excitement or overwhelming emotion. Simply speak to yourself the way you would if your desire was already fulfilled. If you won the lottery, you wouldn't walk around screaming with excitement every moment. You'd be calmly making plans, casually mentioning your good fortune, naturally thinking from that state. Second, make your inner conversation specific and personal. Don't have generic conversations about being successful. Have specific conversations about the success you desire. Hear your friend congratulating you on your new promotion. Hear your spouse talking about the vacation you can now afford. Hear yourself making the phone call you've been wanting to make. Third, remember that inner conversation is not affirmations. You're not repeating phrases to convince yourself. You're having natural, flowing conversations in your mind as someone who already lives the reality you desire. The difference is crucial. Affirmations feel like you're trying to convince yourself. Natural inner conversation feels like you're simply being yourself, the self who already has what you desire. This naturalness is what gives power to your inner conversation. Not the effort, not the strain, not trying to convince yourselves, but the feeling of naturalness that comes when you simply assume it's already true. During your 3 days, every time you redirect your inner conversation, let it feel natural. Don't force enthusiasm if it doesn't feel genuine. Simply speak to yourself as someone who already has what you desire would speak to themselves. My dear friends, your inner conversation is happening right now, whether you're conscious of it or not. It never stops. It's creating your world continuously. The question is not whether you're creating through your inner speech. The question is what you're creating. For 72 hours, just 3 days, you have the opportunity to take conscious control of the conversation that's been running your life unconsciously. You can continue with the inner conversation that created your current reality, or you can choose to speak to yourself as someone who already lives in the reality of their dreams. Remember, you are not trying to get anything. You are not trying to convince the universe to give you something. You are simply aligning your inner conversation with the reality you choose to experience. Your inner conversation is the Word of God in action, and it cannot return void. Every word you speak to yourself becomes the substance of your world. The choice is yours. But remember this, your inner conversation is creating your reality right now, whether you're directing it consciously or letting it run on autopilot. 3 days of controlled inner conversation will transform your world, not because it's magic, but because it's law. Your whole vast world is your inner conversation pushed out. Change the conversation and you must change the world. Begin today. Begin this moment. For the next 72 hours, speak to yourself as someone who already has everything they desire, and watch your world transform to match your new inner conversation. And if you want to make this change permanent, if you want to understand how to maintain this alignment when doubt creeps in, when old patterns resurface, and when reality seems to contradict your new inner conversation, comment reset below. We'll send you the Manifest Reset, 5 gentle shifts that help you return to the frequency of fulfillment whenever you feel stuck. These aren't control techniques. They're alignment tools that help you remember who you really are. But here's what will take your inner conversation to the next level. Most people try to control their thoughts during the day when their conscious mind is fighting them every step of the way. There's a sacred time each night when your conscious mind naturally relaxes its grip, a state so powerful that you can reprogram your entire reality in minutes without any resistance at all. In my next teaching, What is SATS and How You Can Use It to Manifest Miracles, I reveal the state akin to sleep, the technique I use to teach thousands of students how to manifest while they sleep. When you master SATS, you'll never again struggle with negative thoughts during the day, because you'll be programming your subconscious mind each night with exactly the reality you desire to experience. You'll see the link appearing on your screen now. Watch it immediately after this one to discover how sleep becomes your most powerful manifestation tool. Remember, you are the operant power. Your imagination is God, and your inner conversation is the word that creates all things. Your inner conversation is happening right now. The question is, what story is it telling?